The sun had barely lifted over the wide Wyoming plains when the breeze carried in the scent of sage and dust, soft as a memory. Morning light stretched itself across the Red Willow Ranch, warming the faded boards of the horse barn and bathing the open fields in a pale gold glow. A few cattle lowed in the distance, and somewhere behind the windmill, a loose sheet of tin clattered every time the gust picked up. It was just another quiet day, until it wasn't. Maddox, owner of the ranch and the kind of man people described as quiet but tough as boot leather, who was fixing the hinge on the south corral gate, when he heard the sound of galloping hooves. At first, he figured one of his ranch hands was riding in early, but the rhythm was too frantic, too uneven. He straightened up, narrowed his eyes against the glare, and saw a rider approaching from the ridge trail, swaying in the saddle. The horse's chest was lathered with sweat, and the rider, no, the woman, was holding herself stiffly, as though every step caused her pain. Cole dropped the wrench and jogged toward her just as she pulled up in the yard. The woman slid off the horse with a clumsy half-fall, catching herself on the saddle horn before her boots hit the dirt. She tried to stand tall, but her face was pale beneath the layer of trail dust. "It hurts. Down there," she whispered, voice shaking with embarrassment and pain. Cole stepped forward, hands raised just slightly, not touching her yet. "Easy. I'm Cole. You're hurt." She nodded, wincing as she tried to straighten. I'm Riley. I was riding the canyon trail. Something cut me. I don't know what. I didn't see. But it's bleeding and it hurt something awful." Cole took one look at the dark stain on her jeans and realized this wasn't a matter of embarrassment. It was a medical emergency. Out here, miles from town, and with no clinic anywhere close. You didn't waste time worrying about modesty. "Come on," he said, offering his arm. "Let's get you inside where there's light. I'll call Doc Hargreaves." "No," she said quickly, grabbing his sleeve. "He's gone into Casper for the weekend." The deputy said if anyone had trouble, they'd have to wait till Monday. "And I don't think I can wait." Cole's jaw tightened. He remembered hearing that on the radio. The town's only doctor wouldn't be back for 2 days. "You did the right thing coming here," Cole said. "I have first aid training. We'll figure this out. But you're losing blood. We need to look at the injury." Riley nodded, trembling. She was in too much pain to argue anymore. Cole led her toward the ranch house. His long strides slowed to match her limping steps. Inside, the place smelled faintly of coffee and wood polish. He guided her to the kitchen, where the light was best, and helped her sit on one of the chairs. She clutched the seat edges, bracing for the pain of simply lowering herself. He fetched his medical kit from the hall closet, a battered metal box he kept stocked. Because ranch life had a way of throwing injuries at you. Cuts, gashes, broken bones. He'd seen most of it. "You sure you're okay with me taking a look?" he asked gently. Riley swallowed hard, cheeks flushed. "I don't care what it takes. Just please help." Cole nodded. "All right. I'm going to cut the fabric so I can see the wound. I won't touch you unless I need to." She gave a tiny nod and closed her eyes. He worked carefully, using trauma shears to slice through the denim. When the fabric peeled back, he immediately saw the issue. Something sharp, likely a jagged rock or broken piece of hidden wire, had sliced her inner thigh deeply, dangerously close to an artery. No wonder she rode for help even in that condition. "Riley," he said quietly, "you did real good making it here, but this is a deep cut. I need to clean it and stop the bleeding right now." Her voice was barely there. "Do whatever you have to." What Cole did next wasn't unthinkable, because it was wrong. It was unthinkable because, for anyone else, it would have been too scary. Too easy to mess up, too easy to panic. But Cole wasn't anyone else. Ranch life had taught him to keep steady hands even when things looked bad. He washed his hands, rolled up his sleeves, and opened the sterilized tools. Riley watched him, her breathing fast but trusting. "This is going to sting," he warned, before pouring antiseptic over the wound. She gasped and clutched his forearm, knuckles white, but she didn't scream. Tears slid down her cheeks. Cole kept talking softly, grounding her through the worst of it. "There you go. Almost done. You're tough, tougher than most cowhands I know." She tried to smile through the pain. "I don't feel tough. You're sitting upright with an injury like this. That's more than some people could manage." When the bleeding slowed enough, Cole cleaned the edges of the wound again and prepared a butterfly, closure to pull the skin together. He worked with the precision of someone who had stitched cattle, and men with the same steady calm. But this was different. This was a stranger depending on him in the most vulnerable way possible. "How's the pain?" he asked. "Burning," she whispered. "But better than before." "Good, you're going to be okay. I just need to wrap it." He bandaged her thigh with careful, even wraps, making sure to avoid unnecessary pressure. When he finished, he tied off the bandage, sat back, and exhaled slowly. Riley looked at him with dazed gratitude. "Thank you. I can't believe you knew how to do all that." He shrugged lightly. "Ranch doesn't run on luck. You learn a bit of everything." She eased back in the chair. "I don't know what would have happened if you weren't here." "You would have found someone else," Cole said. But he knew she wouldn't have, not in time. Cole visited every day after that, sometimes to check her bandage, sometimes to bring soup or help with her horse. But as the days stretched into a week, their conversations drifted far beyond the injury. She told him about the places she'd traveled, the storms she'd chased for the perfect shot. He told her about the ranch, the quiet victories of herding season, the long nights when calves were born in bitter wind. By the time Riley could walk without wincing, Cole found himself lingering on her doorstep longer than necessary, and Riley didn't seem eager for him to go either. On one late afternoon visit, as the sun burned orange behind the hills, she stepped onto the porch beside him. "You saved my life, you know," she said softly. Cole shook his head. "You saved your own by being stubborn enough to ride for help." She smiled. "Maybe, but you didn't have to do what you did. You didn't hesitate. You didn't make me feel foolish or embarrassed." "Pain isn't something to be ashamed of," he said. "No," she agreed. "But trust, that's harder." He turned toward her, the breeze lifting the ends of her hair. "Well," he said, voice low, "you gave yours to me. I won't forget that." Her eyes shimmered, not with pain this time, but something warm, something steady. "Cole," she whispered, "I'd like you to stay a while." "If you want to." He did, more than he'd expected. The rancher, who had once ridden through life alone, stepped forward, closing the space between them. Not out of duty, not out of obligation, but out of something far more unthinkable for a man who'd lived years with nothing but gravel roads and endless sky. Hope. And as the light faded over the Wyoming plains, Cole Maddox finally let himself believe that sometimes help arrives in the form of someone you never expected, riding in from the horizon with a wounded heart and a stubborn will to survive.